worked very hard. We have been in this business for 5 years, and we are broke as broke can be.
TLC had generated on Crazy Sexy Cool $75 million, and they gave us $50,000 apiece. I was like, what the hell?
The record?
The record company, Clive Davis, we held them hostage like guns, the whole shebang. Yeah, it was like that.
Because, wait a minute. I want to make sure we understand.
Yes.
Guns?
Yes, guns.
With bullets?
With bullets.
Come on, give me the story,
I'm going to tell
baby.
you because TLC had generated on Crazy Sexy Cool $75 million. Huffy was the one that snitched us out. Yo, B, yo, your girl's up here mad bugging, yo. And I was like, oh, Puff, why you gonna snitch us out, dog? But he called him, yeah, because we kicked him out of the meeting.
Well, wait a minute. Puffy, mind your damn business.
Then asks Rashard to name the celebrities. And then she says, quote, Usher was there, Jimmy Levine was there, Neo came through, there were a few others too.
Ultimate no. You don't do that, and he did that, and I'll never take him back, so it's a done deal.
They were bold, brilliant, and breaking records, but that didn't stop the industry from trying to break them. Before the world knew TLC as the best-selling American girl group of all time, behind the scenes, they were in the fight of their lives. According to Usher, who witnessed the music industry's darker undercurrents up close, Clive Davis, the iconic label executive with a reputation for creating stars, tried to control and exploit TLC at the height of their fame. We're talking platinum albums, sold-out tours, and Grammy wins, but a contract that paid them pennies. And when they realized what was happening, they didn't just complain, they declared war. Most artists stayed silent, scared of being blackballed or buried, but not TLC. They did what no one had dared to do before. They went straight after Clive Davis. They demanded answers, called out the injustice, and reportedly confronted him so directly that it sent shockwaves through the label. They weren't just challenging the deal, they were challenging the system, and Clive didn't like that one bit. According to Usher, Davis wasn't used to being challenged, especially not by young black women at the peak of their influence. So he did what powerful people often do when their authority is threatened. He tried to make an example out of them. He turned TLC into an industry sacrifice, attempting to strip them of their power, their leverage, and their legacy as a warning to anyone else bold enough to fight back. But this isn't a story of defeat, it's a story of resistance. It's about 3 women who refused to be chewed up and spit out by an industry that thought it owned them. It's about how TLC, T-Boz, Left Eye, and Chili took their fight public, dragged the truth into the light, and sparked a conversation that still echoes through the music world today. They weren't supposed to survive that battle, but they did, and in doing so, they changed everything. How? Well, they stormed the castle. If Clive Davis thought TLC was just going to take the $50,000 and stay quiet after generating over $75 million for the label, he had another thing coming. This wasn't business as usual, this was war. TLC had enough. They were broke, exhausted, and fed up with the smoke and mirrors of major label accounting. Their second album, Crazy Sexy Cool, had gone multi-platinum, brought in tens of millions, and put them on top of the world. But behind the scenes, Tion, T-Boz Watkins, Rosonda, Chili Thomas, and Lisa Left Eye Lopes were scraping by, driving beat-up cars and cashing checks that felt like a joke, $50,000 each, after an album that made $75 million. So what did TLC do? They did what no other act had ever dared to do. They drove straight to New York and held Arista hostage. Yes, you heard that right, held the label hostage. You see, Clive Davis was in a meeting with Sean Puffy Combs when TLC rolled into the building like a storm. According to Usher, and later confirmed quietly by Chili herself, they walked straight into the building, kicked Puffy out of the meeting, and took over the room. One of their crew members stood guard at the door like security. No one in, no one out, unless TLC said so. Puffy, stunned, tried to warn Clive, reportedly calling and saying, "Yo B, your girls are up here mad bugging," but it was too late. TLC was already inside, and they weren't leaving without answers.
That time, well, we had already left Pebbles, and so we had a lot of questions. We weren't making any money, and we were selling albums and all that, and so LaFace Records was, they point to Arista, and Arista would point back to them, and so we're like, well, shoot, let's just go to the head, and that is Clive Davis.
Right.
So Lisa met a few friends when she was, after the burning of the house and everything, she was in a little trouble. She was at this little center.
Oh, Lisa.
And she met some tough girls. They were big. No, I'm serious, like way bigger than you, like huge. Like you would almost think they were like dudes, but they were girls, like looked like this, but like, hey, like that. You remember them, I know you did. So she gathered her crew, and she and she and those girls, and Tion drove.
And Tay-Tay.
Yeah, and Tay-Tay, which is Tion's cousin. Tay-Tay don't play. And they drove to New York. I got on a plane, met them there, and we had a plan. So, we didn't have any plaques. We didn't have nothing. So we instructed the girls. We said, all right, we're gonna go up to Arista, and I said, we're gonna call, and I said, I'm gonna do the talking. And, because, Chili's the sweet one. Okay. I am sweet. If you cross me, I'm not. So anyway, no.
I was about to say, she's sweet, but
Don't mess with me. But anyway, so we told the girls, when we go there, go on every floor. I can't remember how many floors there were at Arista at the time, and we said anything that says TLC, from the plaque to a regular poster, we don't care what it is, get it. And go and put it in the limo. We had already talked to the limo driver. He was ready. He was like, okay, cool, I'll park right here and I won't leave until y'all say so.
Left Eye had made the call. Fresh out of the diversion center after a headline-grabbing incident with her ex's house, Lisa had met some serious women on the inside. Women who didn't play. Ex-cons, bold, unafraid, down to ride. When Lisa said, let's go get our money, they meant it, and they meant business. TLC didn't call lawyers. They didn't call managers. They pulled up. Their team moved through the Arista building like a strike force, snatching gold and platinum plaques, taking down posters with their names, and loading them all into a waiting limo like trophies. The limo driver was their getaway car.
Hey, it's TLC for Clive. He's like, hi, girls, how are you doing? I was like, hey, Clive, we're in town, we miss you, we haven't seen you in a while, we want to come up and say hi. Yeah, girls, come on. Yeah. So we get there, and we got the girls going, and then we go in the room, and then, Lisa's cousin. I don't remember. What? No. Tay-Tay is Tion's cousin. Lisa's cousin was there too. You know who I'm talking about. And we walked into Clive's office. Puffy was in there playing that's when he was Puffy, playing his music and stuff. And so, we walk in, and of course everybody's like friendly and ready to say hello. And Tion's cousin walks over. At the time, it was a tape, stops the tape, gives it to Puffy and says, TLC's got a meeting with Clive and you got to go. Your meeting's over. And Tough Puffy is like, I'm not lying. He didn't put up a fuss or nothing, but he was confused, of course. And so.
And what's funny is he told me the exact same story from him. His perspective is the funniest.
So he goes out. And we have one of the girls acting as security outside of that door, and we said, don't let anybody in or out unless we say so.
Inside Clive's office, the tension was real. Clive tried to play calm. Girls, what's going on? But this wasn't a meet and greet. This was a reckoning. TLC told him straight, we're broke. This isn't right. L.A. Reid is pointing fingers at you. You're pointing fingers back. We want answers, and we want what we're owed.
Clive is like, girls, what's going on? And so we're like, we need to talk to you because we're broke, we don't have no money, and LA is talking about you, and like we just going on and on and on. And there was another person that needed to be in that meeting who handled finances and stuff there. So he called him on the intercom or whatever and said, come to the office. Then the guy calls back, he's like, those ladies or bodyguards won't let me in. So, and mind you, somebody's already called the NYPD because the other girls are like going all around taking plaques down and everything. And so of course, can you imagine like working? You're like, wait a minute, what's happening right now? Are we getting robbed? And so, after that, the other gentleman comes in and I start talking, and then I get all emotional because I'm mad, I'm crying, and so this is like for real. And we said, it's not fair. We're selling all these records and we don't have anything to show for it. Like this is not right. Because we thought we got rid of Pebble, so we straight. No. And so he actually saw how serious that was. Now at this time, The police is there.
and the entire label held its breath. Then the cops showed up. Clive had a choice: call their bluff, press charges, and watch it all explode into a media firestorm, or handle it quietly. He chose silence. TLC walked out of that building without cuffs, and within weeks, the renegotiation started. They didn't get all the money. Much of it was still classified as recoupable, a trap buried deep in label contracts. But the message was clear. TLC wasn't just another girl group anymore. They were fighters. The label was shook. Clive Davis, he never looked at them the same again. Neither did the industry. This wasn't just about a check. This was about power, ownership, respect. And decades later, even Chili, in a moment of quiet reflection while dating Usher, admitted what happened behind those doors, and why Diddy panicked when she started talking. He knew, he'd seen it, and maybe he had done something he shouldn't have. It's about what happens when 3 black women, fed up and underpaid, fight the system and refuse to be victims. TLC didn't start off dangerous. The industry made them dangerous. From the moment TLC walked into Arista and took over that building, everything changed. Diddy, who happened to be in a meeting with Clive Davis at the time, quickly realized they weren't the kind of artists you could mold or control. They were the kind you avoided, because they didn't just make noise, they made moves. That day didn't just shake Clive Davis, it embarrassed Diddy. He didn't see it coming, and for years, that tension simmered quietly beneath the surface. Later, the awkwardness between Diddy and TLC would bubble back into the public eye in a surprising way. During an award season appearance, Rosie O'Donnell cracked a joke about Grammy nominations and Diddy potentially serving time. It was lighthearted on the surface, but Chili's reaction stood out. She laughed harder than anyone else in the room, almost as if the punchline hit deeper for her. It was the kind of laugh that suggested she wasn't just reacting to the joke, she was reacting to something personal. At the time, most people brushed it off as a funny TV moment, but looking back with everything we now know, that laugh takes on a different meaning. Now, some of you might not know, but Chili had once dated Usher, who at just 14 had been sent to New York by LaFace Records to live with Diddy. The idea was to expose him to the music business, but the reality was more complicated. Usher would later reflect on that time and hint that he saw things he wasn't prepared for, things he couldn't fully process at the time. Though he never said much, the unspoken details left people speculating about what kind of environment a teenage boy had been dropped into. When Chili and Usher started dating, it wasn't just a celebrity relationship. It placed her in close proximity to a man who had lived under Diddy's roof and been part of his inner circle. Behind closed doors, there were already rumors floating around about things that happened during Usher's time with Diddy, from troubling incidents to whispered stories involving other people in Diddy's orbit. And when Chili eventually distanced herself from both men, some wondered whether what she had seen or heard had left a deeper impact than she let on. She never directly addressed the rumors, but her silence said enough. She stopped mentioning Usher, avoided conversations about Diddy, and quietly stepped away from that entire world. Her reaction during that award show joke seemed like a release, a subtle form of payback from someone who knew more than they were willing to share publicly. It wasn't just laughter, it was a statement. While Chili handled it quietly, Lisa Left Eye Lopes took a different route. She was always the most unpredictable member of TLC, the one who wasn't afraid to act when something felt wrong. And when she found out how little the group had been paid compared to how much money their album had made, she was furious. She didn't want to go through lawyers or play politics. She wanted action. Lisa contacted people she'd met while serving time at a diversion center, women who were street smart, bold, and unafraid of confrontation. She organized a trip to New York with Chili and T-Boz and made it clear they weren't going up there to talk. They were going to demand what was owed. When they arrived at Arista, they didn't wait for an appointment. They went straight into the building, shut down everything, and made their presence felt. Diddy was forced to leave his own meeting, but back when the whole thing happened, no one was arrested. And soon after, the label began renegotiating contracts. TLC didn't get everything they were owed. Label accounting tricks made sure of that, but they got more than before, and more importantly, they made it clear they weren't going to be walked over. The building itself changed after that day. Artists visiting Arista were now required to go through additional security. Metal detectors were installed, and even executives had to follow new protocols, all because 3 young women demanded respect. Lisa wasn't done. Not long after the standoff at Arista, she made a shocking move and signed with Death Row Records. It was a signal that she was ready to expose more than just bad contracts. She wanted to uncover how the industry really worked, who was behind the missing money, and what secrets were being protected. People were stunned. For someone from a pop supergroup to align with the most notorious label in the game was almost unthinkable, but Lisa didn't care about playing it safe. She wanted answers. Before she could fully reveal what she knew, tragedy struck. Lisa died in a car accident, and with her went the untold pieces of the story she was getting ready to share. Some say she was on the verge of something big, an expose, a new era of control over her career, maybe even a deeper understanding of where all the money had gone. In the weeks leading up to the crash, something about Lisa's energy had noticeably changed. Those closest to her described a heaviness, something she couldn't quite shake. She had become more spiritual, more introspective, but also more distant, like her mind was somewhere else. The accident with the young boy, Baron, left a deeper mark than anyone expected. Lisa wasn't just emotionally shaken, she was haunted, not by guilt alone, but by the feeling that something larger, something unseen, was moving in her life. She started mentioning things to her crew, things about shadows, about being watched. Some brushed it off as stress or exhaustion. Others quietly wondered if she was slipping into something darker. But Lisa didn't ask for sympathy. She kept filming, she kept writing, she kept searching. She had gone to Honduras to find peace, but instead found herself surrounded by questions she couldn't answer. Then the crash happened. No one could have predicted the suddenness of it. One moment, she was on the road with her team, and the next, the van was flipping through the air. Everyone else survived with minor injuries. Lisa didn't. She was thrown from the vehicle. No seatbelt, no chance. The loss was immediate, raw, and shocking. Her death sent shockwaves through the music world. Fans grieved, friends were stunned, and behind the scenes, some people fell silent, too silent. Lisa had been documenting everything, not just her spiritual journey, but her thoughts on the industry, her frustrations with how money was handled, and her plans for the future. She had started pulling the curtain back on things people didn't want public. Her solo project wasn't just another album. It was going to be a statement, a reclamation of power. She had questions about the money, about the contracts, about how the machine really worked. She had no intention of staying quiet, and then she was gone. Chili, who had remained mostly private about the circumstances for years, eventually opened up in a rare interview. Her voice cracked as she talked about the last time they saw Lisa, about how something just felt off. There was no drama, no argument, just an eerie stillness, like Lisa had already made peace with something no one else understood. To this day, her death raises more questions than answers. Was it just a tragic accident, or did the pressure, the emotional weight, the unresolved pain, and the burden of what she was uncovering all contribute to a breaking point, or was it the industry gatekeepers trying to get back to the girls one at a time? No official foul play was ever found, but the timing, the circumstances, the silence that followed, it all left a cloud of uncertainty. What's undeniable is that Lisa Left Eye Lopes was more than a singer. She was a force, and when she died, it didn't just shake her group, it sent a chill through the industry, because she wasn't just talented, she was fearless. And fearless people, especially women in the music world, rarely get to keep talking once they get too close to the truth. As the group tried to move forward, the emotional fallout combined with their ongoing legal and financial battles, T-Boz didn't shy away from pointing fingers. In a revealing conversation, she shared how the group had to confront executives face to face just to demand the money they rightfully earned. By the time Crazy Sexy Cool had raked in tens of millions, the group had only seen a sliver of it. Lisa, even while dealing with personal legal troubles, had been the one pushing hardest for answers. She refused to let the injustice slide, even when it meant calling out powerful names. It was around this time that questions began surfacing among fans about whether Lisa's relentless pursuit of truth had put her in danger. She had started looking into where the money went, why they had been kept in the dark for so long, and who was benefiting while they struggled. There were rumors that her involvement in certain lawsuits, including those tied to her ex, might have been manipulated to undermine her credibility or silence her inquiries. Things only became more complicated when Puffy's name entered the picture. According to T-Boz, Diddy had been present during one of their attempts to confront Arista executives, and rather than support them, he reportedly sided with the very people they were fighting. She recalled how they had to sneak into the building with help from their limo driver, but once inside, Puffy allegedly snitched on them and had them kicked out. That betrayal didn't sit well with the group, and especially with Lisa, who was already growing restless within the tight confines of the music industry. As the tension within the group built, Lisa made a bold move by aligning herself with Suge Knight and Death Row Records. This only intensified speculation. Suge and Diddy had a well-documented rivalry, and Lisa's decision to sign with Suge raised eyebrows. According to Suge himself, their relationship was more than just professional. He described her as someone he genuinely cared about and who chose to stay by his side without hesitation. That bond added another layer to the swirling rumors. Did Lisa's association with one of Diddy and Clive Davis's biggest industry threats make her a target? Speculation speculation grew when fans began drawing connections between Lisa's fate and the eerily similar losses of Tupac and Biggie, two artists who were also tangled in the competitive chaos of 90s hip-hop power dynamics. Tupac and Lisa were close. Some even called them soulmates. He died under suspicious circumstances after making songs that many believe foreshadowed his death. And Diddy's name has long been linked, whether through theories or lawsuits, to that tragic chapter of music history. These aren't just loose ideas floating around in conspiracy corners. Over the years, Diddy's name has come up in multiple serious lawsuits. His career, while massively successful, has also been marked by constant legal trouble. From business disputes to accusations of misconduct, his empire has never been without controversy. Most recently, a lawsuit filed by Rodney Lil Rod Jones reignited interest in Diddy's past, including allegations that go far beyond just bad business practices. As fans continue to ask questions, what's undeniable is that Lisa Left Eye Lopes was on a path to uncover something, whether about her group's financial exploitation, the darker sides of the industry, or her own personal evolution. But her journey ended abruptly, and with so many unanswered questions, the mystery around her final days has only deepened. Over the years, Combs has faced multiple serious allegations, including accusations of exploitation and misconduct involving minor girls. Some women have come forward claiming they were hired and then taken advantage of after being intoxicated. Diddy has consistently denied all allegations, calling them pure fiction and transparent attempts to garner headlines. His attorney, Shan Hawley, emphasized that there is overwhelming, indisputable proof that these claims are false. Adding to the turmoil, Clive has also been implicated in controversies surrounding TLC's financial struggles. T-Boz has publicly called out Davis and other executives for mismanagement and withholding the money that rightfully belonged to the group. The financial strain contributed heavily to the hardships TLC faced after Lisa Lopes' death. The situation escalated when authorities raided Diddy's residences in Los Angeles and Miami. Raids of this nature don't happen without concrete evidence or strong cause, raising questions about whether Diddy is facing more serious legal jeopardy than before. In recent lawsuits, Diddy has been described as a controlling and cruel figure who exerted dominance over both the personal and professional lives of women like M. Ventura, who courageously spoke out after years of silence. Another accuser, Joey Dickerson Neal, alleged that Diddy took physical advantage of her while she was in college in 1991, with similar claims coming from other women. The fallout has had professional consequences as well. Diddy stepped down as chairman of Revolt, a music and culture network, with the company emphasizing the importance of focusing on its mission to uplift black voices. Diddy himself has publicly rejected all allegations, stating that they are attempts by individuals seeking a quick payday and that he intends to defend his reputation and legacy. Fans and observers have speculated that Diddy's business moves, such as major investments made around the time of Lisa Lopes' death, might be linked to money he allegedly misappropriated from TLC, who were struggling with debt and poor management. Clive Davis's role in the financial disputes only deepens suspicions among fans about the exploitation TLC endured behind the scenes. With his sharp business acumen and powerful connections, many believe Diddy knows how to come out on top, even in difficult situations. The recent police raids and legal troubles have some wondering if this marks the beginning of the end for the long-standing career of the mogul. Meanwhile, despite their struggles, TLC has chosen to continue as a duo rather than replace Lisa Lopes, emphasizing the irreplaceable bond and chemistry that made the group unique. As T-Boz put it, in 2002, you can't replace a TLC girl, and in 2013, Rozonda Chili Thomas reaffirmed, "I'm never going to put another girl in my group, never." Much of the pain and hardship that TLC endured stemmed directly from their battles with Clive Davis. As the powerful head of their record label, Davis did not take kindly to the group standing up against him and demanding the financial rights and respect they deserve. Rather than addressing their concerns fairly, Davis reportedly retaliated fiercely, using his immense industry influence to silence each member individually. The members of TLC, especially Lisa Left Eye Lopes, were vocal about the mismanagement and the unfair treatment they received under Davis's leadership. However, instead of being supported, they found themselves systematically undermined. Davis allegedly made sure that each member faced professional setbacks, stripping away opportunities and limiting their ability to be heard or supported in the industry. Sources say that Davis was ruthless in making an example out of them, punishing TLC not just as a group, but targeting them personally to send a message to anyone else who might dare to challenge him. him. This hostile environment contributed heavily to the group's struggles, both financially and emotionally. The consequences of Davis's vendetta against TLC were devastating. Not only did the group suffer enormous financial losses despite their huge commercial success, but the emotional toll of being marginalized by powerful executives added layers of stress and trauma. Many fans believe that this oppressive treatment played a key role in the tragic downfall of Lisa Lopes and the hardships that followed. Ultimately, the story of TLC is not just one of musical wins, but also a cautionary tale about the dangers artists face when confronting powerful figures like Clive Davis, a man who, according to insiders and fans alike, sacrificed the careers and well-being of the group members to maintain his own control and reputation. We all know how Davis is often viewed as the wise mentor behind many stars' success, including Diddy and Usher. Yet, darker rumors and allegations cast a shadow on his legacy. Davis's annual parties, once the industry's most glamorous pre-Grammy bashes, allegedly masked deeper, sinister events. Many question whether Davis simply opened doors for young talent or also helped cover up scandals, including those involving substance abuse, manipulation, and exploitation. The connection between Davis and Diddy runs deep. Davis, the industry heavyweight, was not just a mentor but also an enabler, some say, of the party culture that allegedly preyed on vulnerable young artists like Usher and even TLC. The whispers of inappropriate behavior and the trafficking of substances trace back to these elite gatherings, with rumors suggesting that Davis may have facilitated or at least turned a blind eye to these dangerous dynamics. Usher's revelations about how Clive Davis turned TLC into an industry sacrifice reflect the brutal nature of the business. TLC, one of the most successful girl groups of the 90s, faced intense pressure and exploitation, often forced into roles that served the industry's interests rather than their own well-being. The group's struggles with financial hardships, management control, and personal crises were well documented, yet many suspect that the industry machinery, headed by figures like Davis, prioritized profit over the artist's health and autonomy. This mirrors the trajectory of Usher's own mentorship experience. Just as TLC was shaped and often sacrificed by the industry's demands, Usher was immersed in a world where boundaries were blurred. His close relationship with Diddy was fraught with questionable behavior, from wild parties to rumors of substance abuse and even allegations of transmitted diseases passed under coercive circumstances. Usher's silence on some of these topics, hinting at a lot of S in his past that he's saving for his book, suggests a hidden toll behind the polished public image. The dark patterns appear to have repeated with Usher's mentorship of Justin Bieber. Jaguar writes allegations that Usher facilitated Bieber's access to Diddy's circle and possibly handed him over to Diddy's influence, suggest a cycle of exploitation perpetuated under the guise of mentorship. Bieber's early rise to fame, with no parental oversight during 48 hours at Diddy's mansion, raises troubling questions about the protection of young stars in the industry. Usher's alleged role in this process, combined with the ongoing legal troubles and accusations surrounding Diddy's parties, only deepen the narrative of how vulnerable artists are sometimes caught in exploitative webs. The fact that Usher went radio silent amid the growing scandal hints at how much remains hidden behind the scenes. In this tangled web, the idea that Clive Davis turned TLC into an industry sacrifice gains new meaning. It's not just about one group, but a systemic issue where powerful executives use mentorship and influence to maintain control over artists, sometimes at devastating personal costs. Usher's story, caught between being a victim, a survivor, and potentially an enabler, illustrates the complexity of navigating fame under these conditions. During the height of these troubling events, Usher was deeply embedded in Diddy's inner circle, witnessing firsthand the complex and often dark dynamics at play. Having been mentored by Sean P. Diddy Combs from a young age, Usher was not just a bystander, but a close participant in the lifestyle and power structures that shaped the music industry's elite. According to insider sources and Usher's own statements, he has come to believe that Clive Davis and Diddy intentionally orchestrated the harsh treatment of the girls, especially groups like TLC, not merely as a consequence of industry pressures, but as a calculated strategy to teach them a lesson. This lesson was reportedly about control, obedience, and what happens when artists step out of line with the unspoken rules of the industry. Usher has suggested that this was not an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern of blackballing and punishing female artists who challenged the established order. He claims that Davis and Diddy wanted to send a clear message to the industry and to the artists themselves. Defy the system, and your career and personal safety could be at risk. This calculated intimidation is believed to be why Diddy has never made any explicit public public statements addressing these allegations or the recent investigations. Sources close to Usher say that Diddy is deeply worried about retaliation, fully aware of the immense power both he and Clive Davis wield behind the scenes. The fear is mutual and pervasive. Neither man wants to be the first to break silence because they know the other could strike back with devastating consequences. Usher, caught in the middle, has expressed a complicated mix of fear, loyalty, and frustration. He understands better than most how quickly careers and reputations can be destroyed when crossing these powerful figures. His silence has been interpreted by some as complicity, but insiders say it's more about survival, recognizing the danger of speaking out too openly against industry titans like Davis and Diddy. The music business, as Usher has quietly hinted, operates on a system where power protects itself fiercely, and those who challenge it often find themselves isolated or worse. So what do you think? Comment down below and let us know. If you like this video, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be the first to see my next video. I post updates like this every week where I uncover the secrets of your favorite celebrities.